Hi, I'm Allison.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Ramon,
I'm Will.
and we are the co-creators of Whistleblower.
Whistleblower is a mystery-based visual novel in which you discover that your company is involved in serious corporate crimes, and you must stay hidden while the event unfolds. Playing as Aretta, a dedicated worker at Omni Industries, the player overhears about a potentially incriminating meeting taking place after work, and can decide to investigate further. Depending on where you choose to hide during the meeting, various vantage points and clues will be accessible, allowing you to better understand the situation as it unfolds. These branching pathways offer new series of clues and overarching narratives that flesh out the story on each successive playthrough.
In the endgame, you are presented with 3 options: to report your findings to your supervisor, to send information to a newspaper, or to remain silent. However, all 3 of these options come with their own significant risks, presenting a moral and ethical standstill to the player.
Throughout our game, players will be presented with a series of first-person oriented images, allowing them to embody Aretta as she goes about finding clues. The black and white backgrounds are reminiscent of printer pages, pen, ink, and paper, augmenting the connection between the player and the corporate setting that they find themselves inhabiting. The charcoal shading and obscure details create a sense of incompleteness or uncertainty, encouraging the player to look closely at the clues that they're presented. Additionally, the first-person perspective allows the player to see the hiding spots as if they were truly there, further heightening the experience of suspense and intensity as they investigate.
Our background music is reminiscent of the type of soundscape commonly experienced in film noir and other detective stories that our game is themed off of. It takes elements from dark jazz, which is characterized by its somber, mysterious, and sometimes sinister tone. The music's slow pace and the eerie nature are intended to keep players on edge and curious while sneaking around the boss's office and collecting clues, hinting at the sordid nature of the events unfolding. Along with this background music are moments of more jarring digital sounds, using white noise and other artificially produced noises to draw attention to the messy tech company environment that is seemingly riddled with errors.
Our gameplay mechanics also draw from those seen in other detective games, like KGB, a 1992 PC game. In both games, players are presented with branching dialogue paths and are encouraged to interact with their environment while searching for clues. All hiding locations and many of the clues available are visible to the player from their first-person perspective. However, in order to reflect the fact that Aretta cannot make her presence known to other characters in the room, interactivity in our game is limited based on distance. Players need to be close enough to the object in order to select it. We believe that immersing our audience in such a rich, detailed environment will encourage players to continue searching the room for clues, even after several playthroughs of the game. While we have taken inspiration from games such as Ace Attorney, Sherlock Holmes, and Telling Lies, our game complicates the detective genre in 2 distinct ways.
First, we place the player in a gray area between being an active and passive participant. Aretta is not a conspirator in the crime, nor is she an actual detective. This means that player decisions have a meaningful, albeit indirect, impact on the plot. Player decisions affect what clues are even available, with some information being inaccessible in a first playthrough depending on the route one takes. Most other mystery games either place players directly in the driver's seat as the one responsible for creating the mystery, or have them uncover preset stories that they lack the agency to control.
Secondly, players are presented with the choice of how to use the information they collect. Normally, detective games end by neatly identifying the crime, method, and perpetrator. There is one correct answer and conclusion to the story with some room for error. However, our game is written to comment on additional considerations that come with pursuing the truth, including the moral and professional repercussions of one's actions.
In this manner, players find themselves witness to the ethical standstill of whistleblowing. You may feel that the crime being committed is inherently wrong, but are you willing to sacrifice your own safety or professional status to end it all?
In the final scene of the game, The player is presented with 3 options. These include reporting your findings to your supervisor, sending information to a newspaper, or remaining silent. All 3 of these options come with their own risks, providing an exploration of the moral quandary associated with whistleblowing. Do you tell the truth and face professional consequences, or do you stay silent and deal with the ethical weight of your decision? Depending on additional clues uncovered while investigating, other ethical dilemmas may arise that can continue to complicate decision-making and opinions about colleagues encountered in the game.
The decisions that players make will always have negative consequences, but it is up to them to decide what they value most. Hopefully, this piece can provide greater insight into the limitations of the current whistleblowing system and how this impedes transparency efforts, all through the familiar lens of a visual novel mystery game.